Hello, this is the Underthinker. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video on the concept of goodwill, which is an accounting concept, but I wanted to use it in a different way, so I thought I would use a video so that you would understand kind of what I mean and give you some examples of how I intend to apply it to social interactions. So hopefully that when I do use it in future videos, you'll have a way of knowing what it is that I'm actually talking about. Make sense? Let's get started. Now, when we talk about goodwill, it's probably helpful first to define what it is goodwill is. In a business sense, goodwill is the increase of value of a company over its assets minus its liabilities. For example, if you're buying a company and you decide on paper that the assets and the liabilities are minus the liabilities are $1 million, and yet you pay $2 million for the company, you need a way to record why it is that you paid $2 million for the company. And so you have an asset saying you have goodwill. For example, if Apple were to put out, say, a phone back in the day, people stood in line for that phone and were excited about that phone before they ever saw anything about the phone. Well, I guess they didn't stand in line before, but they wanted to know about it because it was from Apple, and anything that Apple put out, people thought was going to be exciting. And I guess they still do today. So Apple has some goodwill. If Apple were to be sold, it would probably be sold for way more than what the value is of its property, plant, equipment, its inventory, all those kind of things. So goodwill might be thought of as the strength of the brand. When we apply it to human social interactions, goodwill is kind of the willingness of somebody to think of you highly when they are not being paid to think of you. That's actually not the tightest definition I could think of, but hopefully as I explain what I'm talking about, it'll make a little bit more sense. Now, there's a couple of types of goodwill. There is constructive goodwill. Now, these are my terms, so looking them up probably will be difficult. Maybe somebody else will use a different term for the same thing, and that's fine. Constructive goodwill is the goodwill that you create through your direct action. It's more of a direct thing. For example, if you help someone change a tire, then for that person you've done something and they will think highly of you because you helped them change a tire. If you invent a heart valve that saves millions of lives, people will think highly of you because you help save millions of lives. Maybe one of their loved ones, maybe just you helped save people. You pulled someone out of a foxhole in Vietnam. That person will think highly of you because you saved your life, etc., etc. The things that you do directly to help people is kind of constructive because it's based upon your action. The second kind of goodwill is collaborative or associative goodwill, and that's due to being a member of some group. For example, if I have respect for people because I think it's basic human dignity and the respect that you have for any human being, then that's because you are a human being. If you were a turkey baster, you wouldn't get that respect. If you belong to a political party, if, you are a Republican and I'm a Republican, or you're a Democrat and I'm a Democrat, I might have goodwill to help you out because you're a fellow Democrat or a fellow Republican. If you're from the same hometown, if you're from the same race or the same gender, if you like people because they're blonde, or you love redheads or gingers, or you hate redheads or gingers, it's because you're a member of that group. If you're a total stranger that they don't know you and you have a good feeling or a bad feeling, that's collective or associative goodwill. The third type of goodwill is relational. It's because of your relationship. For example, if they're a member of your family, if you're a mentor-mentee, if you're a boss or subordinate, if you're in some situation where your relationship creates a feeling of obligation towards that person, right? Whether it's cultural or whether it's your personal code, if you feel like someone's a guest in your house, therefore you should take care of them, It's all relational. And because it's relational, when the relationship changes, for example, your wife becomes your ex-wife, your guest is no longer your guest, your subordinate has to be fired or he's caught stealing from you, then that relationship ends. When you see that person in the grocery store, you may have a different reaction to them than you did when that relationship existed. And these kind of things are not all one thing or another. For example, if you see somebody who you fancy because they are a attractive person of whatever gender you're interested in, then it might be because you say it's associative, I like beautiful people, but it could also be a relational, potential future partner of some type, whether, for the day or the month or the rest of your life. So it's not all cut and dry that it's going to be one or the other. They're just kind of sources of creating goodwill. Now, I'm sure there are other kinds of goodwill, but those are the ones that came most readily to my mind and the ones I'm more likely to be talking about in the future. So I hope that I've done a good job of introducing at least this concept of what goodwill is and maybe the sources of goodwill, maybe more than the types of goodwill, to give an idea how this accounting concept might relate into social interactions with other people and people amongst each other. And I hope in my next video to talk a little bit more about how goodwill you manage, how you would spend goodwill, and kind of the transactional nature of these kind of things. So I thank you for stopping by and listening to my video. I hope that it hasn't been too long or too dry, and I hope that it has provided some value. As always, feel free to like and subscribe. Feel free to check back and see what else I have planned for you, and I'll get right on part 2 of this. Thank you, and have a great day.